Hello people, and welcome to Crypto Exposed. Okay guys, I've got a post here from the Hedera Foundation, and they say Hedera has been added to the Google Cloud BigQuery public datasets, enabling high scalable cross-chain data accessibility. As we continue to onboard the world's largest organizations, this provides core infrastructure for institutional grade DeFi and enterprise applications. So let's get into this, and I can explain why I think, to me personally, this is a big deal. Okay, Hedera's inclusion in BigQuery public datasets allows developers, analysts, and enterprises to query the full transaction history of the Hedera network alongside other leading blockchains. With BigQuery's capabilities, users can now 1. Compare transaction costs and speeds between Hedera and other blockchain networks. 2. Track tokenized assets and NFTs across different ecosystems, including Hedera's native token service (HTS). 3. Analyze smart contracts execution and DeFi trends across multiple chains. 4. Conduct historical research on Hedera's growth, network, performance, and transaction volume. HF has open sourced all ETL scripts and deployment frameworks, ensuring that the broader blockchain community can contribute to and extend the dataset's functionality. This ensures that the integration remains collaborative, transparent, and adaptable to future developments. The BigQuery public dataset for Hedera will be actively maintained with periodic updates aligned with the network changes and schema improvements. This guarantees that developers, enterprises, and researchers always have access to the most relevant and accurate blockchain data. This cross-organizational effort was made possible by HF, Ariane Labs, Hashgraph, Hedera, and Hedera Council member Google. Okay, cool. So, you might have heard that and think, oh, this just sounds boring, but what is this really about? So, you got to go back to what it originally said, right? This is actually making it more, accessible in terms of looking at more real world use cases and for DeFi and, real world applications. So for me, the first thing I'll say what this means for me when I look at this, it actually means confidence, right? Because what this is saying to me is Hedera are very confident in their abilities, which is why they're happy for it to all be available publicly, right? Like, they're not trying to hide anything, right? Like, they're literally saying, hey, we believe in our network, we believe in what we can do, so this is why we think this is something that we're happy to show you. So I said this before, right? When we look at like certain things with Hedera, like going cross-chain, for example, some people might look at it and say, well, why would you want to go cross-chain? Why would you want to do that? Because that could mean that, people who are developing on Hedera could potentially move on to another network, for example. But I've always said, like, you do understand that works both ways, right? Like, if you've got, for example, a developer on Cardano and, it's going cross-chain, they could also leave Cardano to come over to Hedera. And so for me, when I look at that, this is where it's like, do you believe in the network, right? Because I do. So I think, with Hedera being as good of a network as it is, I don't worry that they're going to lose, developers. I think if anything, they're probably going to gain developers. And we've seen that. Like, I've covered, Ethereum developers coming to Hedera, Polygon developers coming to Hedera, and the Casper network, right? They had that huge AI use case. And rather than that going to the Casper network, which was their main, selling point at the time, they just brought it in the end over to Hedera. So, like, we've seen this. So, to me, like, I think they, one, have confidence and belief that, their data speaks for itself, which I think it does. And two, they're not worried about losing people. Like, I think they're saying, hey, here's our data. You can compare it with other networks. We can stand up with the best of them. And I think they can, like, to me, that's a very good vote of confidence there. And so, I think this is a positive, like the fact that they're showing you this data, and it's just about transparency, right? Like, at the end of the day, we want these networks to be transparent. You want the truth there at the end of the day. Like, I just think that's what this is all about. The one thing about crypto, what we all like, is that it's decentralized and it's transparent, right? Like, that's how we want things to be. That's the huge appeal of crypto. And so, to me, I think that's where this is obviously a huge positive, But then, yeah, in terms of like for developers and analysts, this opens the door for them to, if they want to build on it, they've got all the information they need. And this is where I say it can help them to build, their products on Hedera, because they can look at what the network can do. They can see what the performance is like. They can see if there's outages or anything like that. And they can see how Hedera handles, volume on the network. So this is the kind of thing for developers. If they're going to say, okay, well, let me compare, Hedera to this other network, the data's there and they could say, that's pretty good. Like, I like that. They could then decide to develop on Hedera. And it's going to help them to make stronger applications. Why? Well, they know exactly what they're working with. There's no kind of, there's no gray area. There's no unforeseen territory there, right? So like if they're thinking, okay, I want to make a certain type of app, a dApp on the Hedera hashgraph, they can say, okay, well, in my head, I'm hoping that it'll take like this type of volume. And they can like look at the stats and say, well, can the hashgraph handle this type of volume? Has it done that type of volume in the past? Or how is it managed with this volume? And if I'm thinking about, I want it to go to a next level of volume, do I think it can handle it going by the information I have, the data I have available? And you can forecast how it would be, right? This is what I mean. And so this is the kind of stuff for enterprises as well, especially because this is the kind of data that they need, right? This is the kind of information. Like I've said this before, like when it comes to these institutions and stuff like that, the reason why they're doing like trials and things at this point is because they want to make sure it's okay, right? Like they're not going to base everything on just cross our fingers and hope it works out for the best. You know what I mean? Like the reason why a lot of these, like traditional finance and stuff like that, the reason why their systems are so archaic is because it works. So it's just like, why change it if we don't need to? But now we've got much better technology and it's like, yeah, it's time. They've got to accept that this technology will change things dramatically, and so whether they like it or not, they're going to change over because this is the next era. This is changing things to the next level of what they can do and improving things to the next level. So at the end of the day, when it comes to like this kind of information, this means that these big institutions who may want to do certain types of use cases, they have the data available to be able to plan. And that kind of transparency could be, again, something that's hugely attractive for Hedera because they can see what it can do and they can analyze the data. Do you see what I mean? And to me, because of my confidence in Hedera as a network, I'm thinking that they'll be very happy with the data that they have. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I think Hedera are confident of that too, which is why the data is publicly available. So I think this is a huge positive. It sounds like, it's all right, but no, like this is the thing that for like analysts, developers, institutions, this is the kind of thing that they're looking for. This is the kind of transparency that they want. This is the kind of stuff that they can base their foundation of making, an application on the Hedera hashgraph. This is the kind of data that is, this is the kind of data that is required. So I think this is huge. I think it's really big that they're doing this. And once again, this is something that's going to attract more institutions because they can look at what they want. They can look and see if it meets their required standards to build on the network. And to me, I think they're going to like what they see. So yeah, overall, I think this is great. And I think this is going to be an actual benefit for Hedera. And as I said, it's just going to open the door for these institutions, etc., to continue to make more use cases on the network overall. Thank you very much for watching this. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And hit that bell. Take care.